Alfonso Morales and the City of Milwaukee have reached a tentative settlement today. The terms of the settlement are forthcoming and subject to Common Council approval. Chief Morales and the City have agreed to a stipulation to postpone his return date from July 15th to August 1st, 2021, if necessary, to effectuate the terms of the settlement. So that is the formal statement. Now, a couple of comments. Obviously, this has been a challenging matter for all involved, and I'm very pleased that we have this tentative settlement. I'm going to ask Common Council Representative Hamilton to talk about the next steps, because the fact that we have reached a tentative settlement, of course, does not resolve this matter. That settlement is pending approval by the Common Council. But suffice it to say that Alderman Hamilton has been just a wonderful partner to me throughout this process as we've worked through this and met on several occasions with Mr. Morales and his attorneys. And I want to publicly thank him for the work that he has done to help us get to where we are today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alderman Hamilton.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And I also want to thank the Mayor for the role that he played in this process. You know, it's never an easy situation when the city is being sued, right? And it's even more difficult when we've already acknowledged that the process was flawed, that got us into this situation. But what we want to be able to do is to put this chapter behind us. One of the next steps that we have to do is to take this settlement offer that Morales and his team have agreed to the Judiciary and Legislation Committee. And once it passes the Judiciary and Legislation Committee, it'll go before the full council. The full council agrees with this settlement offer, then it'll become final. You know, but it's important for us to acknowledge the time period that we are operating in right now. We just had a number of new fire and police commissioners approved, and I think they were sworn in today. And we want to be able to kind of turn the page on some of the issues that we've had in this situation, as well as some of the others on the Fire and Police Commission. And that's been the sentiment of the council, and we're pretty confident that that's where the conscience of the council is now. So we still have a couple more steps to go through, but most of the council have been engaged in the process and been informed about these negotiations, and we're hoping to be able to move through these steps, you know, fairly quickly. So I'll give the mic back to the Mayor and take any questions that you may have.
So in terms of the settlement itself, obviously the decisions by Judge Foley changed the chessboard as to what would happen. And during the course of the negotiations, I felt it was fair for us to give a $500,000 to Mr. Morales. During the negotiations, in addition to that, there's an additional amount. It's all grouped together in one number, in essence, to cover legal fees and some other matters as well. That brings the total of the two to roughly $626,000. So that is pretty close to the number that will be in the file that will be introduced later this week, again, which is subject to Common Council approval. Again, as the Alderman said, this has been a challenging time with the Fire and Police Commission. We're very, very happy to be turning the page with the Fire and Police Commission, with the Police Department. I just want to say a few words about Acting Chief Norman, who has done a very, very good job. It is clearly up to the Fire and Police Commission to decide what the process is moving forward. It clearly has been stymied by this litigation, and I certainly am supportive of continuing to have Acting Chief Norman as the Chief of the Milwaukee Police Department. But as I've said to him, that is a matter that will be taken up by the Fire and Police Commission themselves, but he certainly has my support, and I know he has the support of many others as well. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can, and again, I just want to acknowledge the very important role that Alderman Hamilton played in this as well. That's something we will work out internally to see where we do it. Oftentimes we do use contingent borrowing, but that's something we'll talk to the budget office and the comptroller about.
Mayor Barrett, the $626,000 amount that you said, how does that compare to what Morales would have made had he not lost his position?
Well, obviously he had a contract, the 4-year contract that went through 2024, I believe. His salary is in the neighborhood of $145,000 to $147,000. So that's what he would have made during that period. Of course, there's all sorts of other numbers flying around pertaining to healthcare, the pension, things like that. But that's, to answer your question directly, his salary is in the neighborhood of $145,000 to $147,000 per year.
Why did you decide on that number, $626,000?
Again, I felt, and Alderman Hamilton was there, that you look for a compromise number, and clearly they were seeking more than that, and clearly we wanted to have less than that. But we felt at the end of the day it was important to resolve this matter.
Is this deal fair to taxpayers?
Pardon?
Is this deal fair to taxpayers?
I believe it is fair to taxpayers. Again, it's not a happy chapter anytime you're having a payout like this, but we felt it was really, really important. We, as the Alderman said, we acknowledged that there were some very serious procedural due process issues here, and clearly the court agreed also that his procedural due process rights were violated in this process. So we made a determination that if we went forward with this case as well as a federal case, that there might be greater exposure. So again, I think in a settlement, just as in all things in life, when you have a settlement, I think both sides give and both sides take.
Can you explain that August date? Is that
I think that's an insurance policy. I fully anticipate if the council approves it that is just there just in case things don't happen. But given the schedule that has been laid out by the alderman, I'm optimistic we'll have this resolved by then.
Mayor Barrett, is he going to retire as chief or captain? And then the second part, is he going to receive his full pension?
He is receiving his pension right now, and he will continue to receive his pension. And my understanding is that nothing has changed. We've reached a settlement in the case, and so the status quo continues.
So he will retire as chief?
He has retired, and again, whether he retired as chief or captain, I don't know the nuance on that. We can get that, but I don't know the nuance on that off the top of my head.
Does the settlement resolve the county case?
Yes, it does. This resolves all matters between Mr. Morales and the city. So.
Do you know how soon this could be taken up at the committee level?
Again, the alderman just laid out the schedule for you there. I want to say it one more time, and then we'll take it home. So.
Yep, so next week we have our Judiciary and Legislation Committee meeting, next week, Monday. And then the council meeting after that, which is July 27th, I believe. So that's the timeline that we're working on for final approval of the settlement.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Have a good day. That's what I would call a fail-safe. But again, as you heard him say, every